right, aloha friends. Welcome to another episode of Game Time with the Goss, powered by Grey Wolf Promotions. I'm your host, Brian Gossett with GM Sports Media. And today's guest, she's Grandview softball coach Leigh Ebner. Grandview is 19-2 on the season and just wrapped up district play with an undefeated district championship on Tuesday night against West. Leigh, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I kind of asked you to come on the show because last week I had posted something about our home run hitters in DFW, and of course, Morgan Holiday had 22 or 21 in the 2022 season. And so some of those girls were chasing those numbers, and of course, every time I bring up DFW numbers and Grandview, there's always one person saying Grandview's not part of DFW. So I had to have you come on. I think I've already asked you this, but you consider yourself DFW?
I do. Who else would we be with? We're very close to DFW area, so I do consider us in the area.
Now, and typically you have some Dallas schools in your district, right? I don't know about this year, but before you've had Dallas Madison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We had quite.
So I'll just go with Professor Diggs rule. Matt Diggs. Anytime there's like a Dallas school in your district, then you are DFW. So it doesn't matter where you're from. If you have a Dallas school, you're DFW. So, and we got to give credit to Morgan,
Absolutely.
with the 21 home runs there. Just what do you remember about that season and her in general?
Well, I actually was not here yet that season. That was the year before I came. So when I came, Morgan was a senior, and we still had the Dallas schools in our district at that time. But she was a competitor. She was an awesome hitter. I mean, one of the best shortstops at this level, 100%, and just a great athlete to coach.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable to see her hit that many home runs because she's not a very big girl.
No, maybe 5'2".
Yeah, just a lot of
Lead
pop.
off that.
So yeah, you guys off to another great season with the 19-2 record, and you just finished up district play undefeated. Just what's this last 3-4 months been like?
Oh, every day. I told the girls the other day at our booster club fundraiser that we have that, I mean, this team they're just a joy to coach. I can't wait to get out to the softball field every day during eighth period because they work hard. They do exactly what I ask them. They put in the extra work outside the hours, and you can't ask for more than that as a coach. So it's been great seeing them grow. It's been great going out and getting the district title and going undefeated. Just put an exclamation point on the work that these girls have put in.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought last year those West games were a little more competitive.
They were. You never know because when you've got two teams that are first and second place, I always tell the girls it's a new day, new game. I don't care what we did before. I don't care if we've already played them and we beat them. Teams come with a different energy, and you always have to be ready for that. So no matter what we've done before or in the past, it's a new day, and you got to come with different energy, and you got to beat their energy every time if you want to win.
So take me through yesterday's game against West. With going in, you knew what you guys could have accomplished, and your girls took care of business.
They did. Right off the bat in the first inning, we scored 3 runs. My leadoff got on, and actually she got on every time with a hit. So she did a great job. And then second hole, third hole. I mean, everybody was just doing their job. And each inning, besides with the exception of one, we put runs on the board. And that's always a goal of ours, try to put a run, at least a run on the board every inning. And so they did. And then Maddie Doty came in with the hit to hit Jaylee, who had got on again with another hit to win the game. So they did their job, and we got it done in 5 innings.
So what's the next couple of days look like? As you know, do you have, because the playoffs still don't start until I think next weekend, but you have some other, kind of playoff warm-up games coming up?
We do. We're trying to get a game this Friday. I'm actually going to hear back today, so we'll know a little bit later on. But we definitely have a game on Monday in Godley at 6 o'clock. There'll be a great opportunity for us to play a good team to get us ready for the playoffs. So that's what we're looking at coming up. And then, as far as practice goes, we're going to continue working on the little things. And just anything in general that maybe we saw during the season that we need to continue to work on going into the playoffs, looking ahead and seeing who we're going to be playing and what those expectations are going to be and what we need to look for in those teams. What does those teams do special that we're going to have to try and stop or things like that. So that's what these next few days will look like for us.
Yeah, Gali will be a good test, a good 4A school, good record. One of their hitters was just our hitter of the week, Sanaya Hill. So really good test for you guys.
Definitely.
Talking with Grandview softball coach Leigh Ebner. Coach, you had a great game against Burleson Centennial on last Saturday in a non-district game. Centennial is a very good 5A school. You guys came out on top 3-0. What did you like from that game?
I liked the energy that my team brought to the game on Saturday. It was a good energy. It wasn't a nervous, oh my gosh, we're playing a 5A who's really good, who's got a pitcher that's a senior that's going to Tech. All those things can start getting into players' heads, and it'll affect them if they let it, in a certain way. So I really liked our energy from the very start. I mean, we didn't score until the 6th inning, but I never saw anyone get frustrated. They just kept going out there and taking hacks. I mean, we had quite a few situations where we had runners in scoring position and we didn't get them in. But instead of faltering and getting frustrated, they just kept chipping away. And that is exactly what I want to see from a team that's getting ready to go into the playoffs.
So last year, you guys go to Austin for the state tournament. And then now this year, it seems like a bulk of your kids are back that were on that last year's team. But is there much difference between the two teams?
I mean, it's always a little bit. We did have 5 seniors, that we lost last year. So anytime that you lose that many, I feel like it kind of changes things. But the best part about the girls this year that we have, it's a bulk of them are the same. But the great part about it is they went through that. They experienced how difficult and crazy and wild the playoffs can be. And they made it to the show, ultimately at the end. And then they saw what that was like. So the best part about that is that a bulk of those girls came back, went through it, so they know what to expect. And we talk about it and we work on it. And it's just been something that we go over here and there when we're talking about the playoff run. And, when we're doing conditioning or something like that, I'll say, ladies, just remember when you're running and you're doing these things that you don't necessarily want to do, remember how hard those playoffs were when you're playing maybe a 3-game series and you're on the bus and then you get home late and then you got to get up and you got to go to class and all those things that come into play that I don't think a lot of people think about, and you get tired. And so I try to get them to think about that everything that we're doing is preparing them for that situation. So, I mean, I think, yes, it's a different team, but it's also a team that experienced it and they know what to expect and they're going to work to try and get back.
Now is it circled on the calendar, state, do you still kind of bring up what happened last year, or is it just kind of one game at a time?
It's always going to be one game at a time. But like I just said, there's going to be certain instances where I might pull that card and say, for instance, when we're doing some conditioning and things like that, keep your mindset right and understand why we're doing these things, because it's going to ultimately help you in the end. It's going to help your mindset. It's going to help you, physically, emotionally, all those things. So that's when I might bring it up. Not necessarily, when we're talking about a game, it's going to be, today's a new day. It's a new game. I don't care if it's an opponent that we played before. It's a new game, new opportunities. Take it one pitch at a time, one inning at a time, and that's how we look at things usually here at Grandview.
So Maddie Doty, sophomore phenom, freshman year, helped you to the state semis, starter, hit. Had an incredible year going overseas and playing on national teams, bringing home 2 gold medals. It's almost like, how does she get even better? But of course she can, because she's a year older and a year bigger, a year stronger, which is not pretty fair to your opponents. But what have you seen different from her this year?
Um, there's always just a little bit, of maturity. Not saying that she's immature, but immaturity as far as she went through her freshman year, had to, go through some different things that maybe most 14-year-olds, because that's how old she was last year, because she's she's a June baby. 14-year-olds probably don't go through. So she grew a lot in a very short time. And I was very, very proud of her for that. And there's times that I tell her about that too, when she starts to kind of second guess things. I'm like, do not forget your growth and everything that you went through that made you stronger. I said, you're going to look back one day. You don't understand it now, but you'll look back one day and know and realize that made you stronger. So those things, I see them. And I see, the best part about her is as good as she is, she still knows that she can be better, and she still wants to be better. And she's still going to work in to be better. There's not a day that she sits back and goes, this is good enough. No, it's not going to happen. I don't care if she struck out 15 in a game. She's going to look at something in that game to where she can be better. What could she have done better? And she's going to do it on her own. Nobody's going to have to tell her to do it. It's because she's a true competitor, and she's got her sights to go big, in college one day. And she knows that each day that she's going to have to get a little bit better to do that, and she's willing to do anything it takes to get there.
Yeah, Maddie had 15 strikeouts, no runs, 1 hit, 7 innings against West. I'm sure she's a little ticked off that she gave up that hit.
Yeah, she is. She will be, no doubt.
She is second in DFW with a .46 ERA. I believe she now is up to 12 wins. But having her and your starting catcher Kylie, just having those two, as your starting battery every game, just how fun is it to see that? How easy is it for you as a coach?
Yeah. It's, I hate to say easy, but it does make things, a little less stressful at times. I'd say that. But, as much as Maddie is a competitor on the mound, Kylie Grafa is the same behind the plate. She's got to come up with some of those, missed pitches that may go a little higher than they're supposed to, that, coming at 70 miles an hour, you got to be ready for. And she does a pretty good job of it, to handle those situations. So it's a blessing, it's a blessing, and it's fun. And and again, as much as Maddie wants to, work and be better at her craft every day, Kylie Grafa is the same way. She puts her catching work in, and she puts her extra hitting work in, and it shows. I mean, it shows every time we walk out there. It shows that they work hard.
And two of your better hitters as well. Maddie, I think, is up to 9 home runs, and Kylie's got 8.
Mhm.
I'll get you out on this. Just you're there in 3A Region 3. Just what does the region look like? What's the playoff run look like? Who are some of the other teams that you may run into?
You know, honestly, it's kind of up in the grabs right now. I mean, we could face Mildred or Rice this first round, and then the second round, that district over there, it's kind of a tie that may come down to the end. So we've been trying to stay on top of those things to know who, but I think that some of that might go down to the wire. But we know if you look at the record, you know that Franklin is going to be in there somewhere, and most likely towards the end, like it was last year. So we already are, looking at, and that we're probably going to face them as long as everything goes according to plan, and going to be ready for that. So I think mostly right now we're, like I said at the beginning of the interview, going over all the little things, all the little things that come into play during games. Situationally, with Maddie as a pitcher, we don't get into certain situations like you're going to be with some teams. So we try to work on that stuff in practice so that we stay sharp. And that's just something that we're going to continue doing. And then when we know who we're going to face for sure, we'll be ready to face those teams.
Well, congratulations on the district championship and another great season. And we wish you the best of luck as the playoffs start, and hopefully we'll see you in Austin.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, that's Grandview softball coach Leigh Ebner. The Zebras are 19-2, and they got a couple of playoff warm-up matches before the postseason gets underway next weekend. Again, they're in Class 3A, Region 3. And that'll do it for another episode of Game Time with the GOSS, powered by Grey Wolf Promotions. If you want to check out some of the best fan playoff gear, go check them out at greywolfpromotions.com, and check us out at gmsportsmedia.com. I'm your host, Brian Gossett, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.